High Moon Studios seem to be the go-to guys when Activision want to make a Transformers game. They've made enough of them, and even though sometimes they've had to go down the movie license route due to the Michael Bay movies, they sometimes get to make more original games that pay fan service to adults who've been playing with them since the G1 days. Fall of Cybertron tells the story of the Cybertronians' dying planet, and the bid for both the Autobots and the Decepticons to survive and escape during their civil war, and it's actually a very solid shooter. You'll get to play as a number of different Autobots in the single-player campaign. Bumblebee, Optimus Prime, Cliffjumper, Jazz and even Grimlock are all controllable at one point or another, and you can use each of their abilities to help you during your missions. For example, Cliffjumper's scenes are more about stealth and turning invisible, whilst Jazz can use his grappling hook to tear down walls and pull himself onto high ledges. The action's all third person, but for once the game doesn't use a cover mechanic. You can switch your weapon between hands to keep your body in cover during firing, and of course transform into a vehicle when it suits. It's a shame then that for a game called Transformers, this feels like the weakest part of the game. You usually just feel the need to change form just to make your way through a more open part of the map, or to eke out your last bit of energy in the middle of a firefight. Controls also feel very floaty, so it actually feels more like you're hovering than driving about, which conversely is actually a good thing when you're flying about as Vortex. In fact, everything seems to be just that little bit more fun when you're playing as one of the Decepticons. Shooting is tight though. There are a variety of different weapons to pick up and upgrade, and extra items you can buy, such as black holes that collect and destroy all the enemies around you, and shields you can place down strategically to protect you. Presentation is also spectacular. This game certainly begins with a bang, and despite the fact that it's just robots fighting in a fictional world, what you're actually doing feels rather worthy. Peter Cullen also reprises his role as Optimus Prime, which of course adds extra gravitas to the proceedings. Other game modes include a survival mode where you must work with friends online to defeat waves of enemies, and a multiplayer mode with 4 gameplay types, the usual mix of team deathmatch, conquest, capture the flag, and another mode called Headhunter. It's functional, but certainly not something people will be playing online in a year's time. If you're a Transformers nut, I highly recommend Fall of Cybertron. For people like me, it's a solid fictional shooter, but for those who've been with the franchise since the start, it certainly provides a ton of fan service, so it gets an excellent 8 out of 10.
You've been watching a review from Gamesweasel. If you want to get the show each week, which includes video game reviews, news, previews, competitions and special features, then head over to Gamesweasel.com for our video podcast, Gamesweasel TV.
Gamesweasel.com